Welcome to the Project with Sam and Lewis, the podcast that looks at projects throughout pop culture and history. I'm Sam.
And I'm Lewis.
And on today's episode, we're going to continue our coverage of the Zeta Project with episodes 5 and 6.
We certainly are. We're now at the halfway point of season 1 of the Zeta Project.
Oh, we? Oh, cool. Yeah,
it's 12 episodes,
12 episodes.
After today. And it's been a journey.
It has, yeah. It's been interesting. We realised today we're doing them every 10 episodes now, which I guess we'll try and carry on with.
Yeah, so look out for episode 49 where we may do episode 7 and 8 of Zeta.
Or maybe before then if we run out of things to talk about, which we shouldn't because we've got such a large collection of projects.
We certainly do.
Before we get into any segments, you can skip ahead using the time codes in the episode description. But how are you today, Lewis?
Yeah, pretty good. We're recording this pretty soon after the last one, so I've been back at work a couple of days. It's been fine. But yeah, generally fine.
Good. Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's not been too long since we last recorded. Went to the cinema last night. We'll be talking about that at some point. But yeah, pretty good in general. Yeah, pretty good. Start a new job tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
We'll see, hopefully. First segment though, Lewis.
Project news. That was one of the best ones yet. So I've got a couple of bits of news. I think you said you had a small one as well.
Yes, I've got a little one. I can do the mine at the end if you like, or in the middle, or
the second one here isn't got loads to talk about, but the first one, Naughty Dog remake listing spotted following the Last of Us project report.
Right. Okay.
So a LinkedIn listing has suggested they're hiring people to remake The Last of Us.
Okay, yeah.
There's been rumours of it for a while.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a very popular game. Was it made into a film?
So they're doing a HBO series with Pedro Pascal and the small Lyanna Stark, Lyanna, whatever she's called from Game of Thrones, the little girl who was like the leader. Lyanna, I don't know what she's
not
called.
Stark. She's
Mormont. Lyanna Mormont.
Yes,
something like that.
But yeah, so I can't remember when The Last of Us
It was
came
2013. I've got it up here.
Okay, so it was nearly 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
People still play it. I think.
Yeah, the sequel came out 2020 summer.
People were a little disappointed.
Well, it was a lot of what we've talked about before, where female leads not doing things that people want them to do and stuff like that. Well, mainly just the idea of having a female lead. Certain characters didn't make as much of an appearance as people liked for various reasons.
Right.
Male characters. So it was fantastic. It's probably in the top few games I've ever played. You know, very cinematic. The
first one.
The second one.
Really?
I very much enjoyed it. I think it was fantastic.
Oh, nice.
And really pushing the limits of the current gen stuff on concept. Well, at that time, current gen. It was just as the PS5 was about to come out. So whenever that came out, it was a couple of months before kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense to remake the first one for the current, the next gen consoles that we have now.
And if they can time that with the release of the series, you know, all the better.
Yeah, it'd be good promo for it.
Yeah.
So I've always heard good things about it. I've never really played it myself.
Yeah.
So I'm sure some people will be delighted with this news.
Yes.
The other bit of news I've got is a callback to the type of news we used to do back in the good old days.
I think I know what this is.
Japanese offshore wind project starts gathering construction team.
Woo.
So I can't remember if this one or something else we mentioned before about them building a massive wind farm in Japan.
Yeah, I don't know if it was in Japan, but we talked about how there's a wind farm near us on the south coast.
Yeah.
That was quite early on, maybe first or second, third episode, something like that.
Yeah. So basically, I think this was news a while ago that they were going to build it. They've now hired a construction team, Japan's Penta Ocean Construction.
Ooh,
and they're going to start building it this year. with an aim to have it going by 2025. And it's like,
beautiful.
Cool. I mean, I'm all for green energy. So
as you should be, yeah.
It's not the most exciting news ever,
well,
but
it's classic environmental news, isn't it?
Exactly. I feel like we haven't done one of them for a while, and I don't think our last episode's news was the most interesting news we've ever covered.
I don't remember what we talked about.
Nor do I. There was Brie Larson.
One was didn't have project in the title.
Oh, I was hoping you'd forget about that.
I know. I had to listen back today. So
yeah, I also listened back to it today. But yeah, the other one was Brie Larson becoming the third member of the project.
Yes, exactly. Unconfirmed start date, so we'll keep you updated on that. The piece of news that I've got is from the Evening Standard, and the headline here is the Adam Project star Walker Scobell cast as Percy Jackson in upcoming TV adaptation.
Huh. Is that the kid?
That's the kid, yeah.
I think I saw this actually.
Yeah.
But I was bored of talking about the Adam Project, so I didn't bring it up on pod.
Yeah, no, I'd seen it. This is actually dated 12th of April, so it's not new news, but I realised we hadn't talked about it. It's a bit of a throwback.
No, fair enough.
Apparently he's a super fan already of the Rick Riordan's book series. I think the difference with this compared to the one that was the two films is that the author Rick Riordan, if that's how you pronounce his name, is on board and is kind of consulting.
So
stuff.
I've never seen either of the films.
Right. Okay.
But last week when I was away, me and Christina, we were in the hot tub. Very nice. Started to get cold. So I
don't know where this story is going.
We went in just to chill, and Christina's sister was watching the second Percy Jackson film.
Okay, yeah.
So I watched like 45 minutes of it.
Right.
And god damn, is that film terrible.
Yeah, I don't remember if I've seen the second one. I've seen the first one.
From what I've heard, the first one was okay. Yes. The second one was terrible.
Is the second one where they go to like a casino and they're on like weird flower drugs?
I didn't see that bit.
Yeah. I remember that.
I walked in and I think there was these three of them, two of which are the son of Poseidon.
Oh, two of them, right? Okay.
Of the three. Yeah, and they get on a boat to like stop the bad guys, and then they get like captured and like imprisoned on this boat. And I was like, how on earth has the son of Poseidon been captured
on a
at
boat,
sea? Like, I think Poseidon would have something to say about this.
Yeah.
And then they get eaten by Charybdis, and that's also bad, and the dialogue's bad. And I decided I didn't want to watch anymore.
Did you know that Steve Coogan plays Hades in the first one? That's funny, isn't it?
That is bizarre.
He plays it as kind of like a metal band member, kind of like.
Right.
Do you know, you can kind of imagine him doing that kind of ex-Black Sabbath member kind of thing with long hair and like a vest on. I think that, if from memory, that's kind of how it's played. But
yeah, I mean, I never read the books either, but I knew they were quite popular and quite well received.
Yeah.
And they've kind of been tarnished by the bad films.
That's right, yeah. I mean, they have their fans, those films, especially the lead. I can't remember his name. I think maybe Logan Lerman, it might be. Right. There's a couple of guys who have dark curly hair from that kind of era. Yeah. And they all look very similar. But there's been calls I've heard for him to play Poseidon in the new one because he was like the thing that people liked, and he's the right kind of age now. But it's a Disney Plus adaptation, this new one, so budget should be pretty
good.
It's starting production
and
late in the summer. It
might work well as a series instead of a film.
Yeah, I can imagine so, because you can stretch that out over 6 to 10 hours.
I always feel like book series are far more well suited to TV than films.
Yeah.
Like even some successful like film series like say Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter.
Yeah.
The biggest criticism fans have of that is the stuff they've cut out.
Yeah.
And it's like they can only fit so much. Even the extended Lord of the Rings has stuff cut out.
But then
like
it's funny
entire characters.
when they try to extend a film into 2 parts, and a book into 2 parts, people have a problem with that. So it's like somewhere in the middle of the two.
But for a TV series, you can just do like a 10 episode series on book 1 and then season 2, book 2.
I think that makes sense. And I think that's the kind of, even what were they going to say, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen? No. Series of Unfortunate Events had a kind of vaguely, semi-successful film with Jim Carrey, and then had a Netflix adaptation that I think went like 5 or 6 seasons, and I think did the whole book series, kind of squished them together a little bit.
Yeah, I mean they did it with Invincible as well. That's just like book one, essentially, was season
that's
one.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Game of Thrones also at the start was a book per season until they kind of went their own way with it.
That's right. Yeah.
But season one is basically like hit for hit book one.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense.
I'll probably watch that.
Yeah, it kind of depends where they kind of aim the audience, I suppose.
Yeah.
If it's aimed at kind of, if there's something for everyone, sure. If not, then
if they just make it a straight up kids show, fine, good for them, but I probably won't watch it.
They had Project in the title, then quids in for us.
I don't think any of the books are put in the title, otherwise we'd probably know about that.
No, they don't. But as we finished Project News, we'll go on to our main topic of the episode, which is the 5th and 6th episodes of the Zeta Project.
Yep, they are the Next Gen and Westbound.
Westbound, that's
Although
right.
The version I watched on your HBO Max account, had the titles come up in French.
Yes, we had this before because we had something about something of cœur, which is like change of heart was something.
Yeah, the second title that came up made sense for the episode, and when I looked up the actual title, I was like, the French title's better.
We'll get to that because it does kind of make sense in a funny way.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
So quickly, the Google description. A robot rebels against its creators, refusing to kill, and goes on the run.
Yes, that's right. So we've done now 2 episodes of the podcast about this. If you want to go back and get a bit more detail, the first episode we talk about backgrounds, that sort of thing, who made it, who's involved.
Generally, our perception was we quite enjoyed the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Episodes 3 and 4 fell a bit flat and were quite fillery.
Definitely, yeah.
And we were hoping to move the plot along. They didn't quite do that.
Yeah.
But
I think, these ones here, would kind of debrief at the end. I think there was stuff that I enjoyed about these episodes.
Yeah.
I don't feel the plot was moved along massively well.
Yeah.
But I do think this whole thing of trying to find this creator, which is what he's trying to do, is trying to find... I think that's going to be an end goal for the season. Rather than...
If you haven't listened to our previous 2 episodes, then go back and listen.
Yeah.
But generally, what's happened so far is that he was an infiltration unit in the Batman series, Batman Beyond.
Yeah, Batman Beyond.
Got a spin-off. Basically, he doesn't want to go and kill bad guys anymore. He doesn't want to kill, so he's got on the run. NSA are hunting him down because they think he's turned into a terrorist.
That's right.
And he's basically trying to find his creator to prove that he can turn good.
And he's got his little sidekick friend who's called Ro.
Who was like a homeless child who's basically started to go along because he had money, and now he's just like his friend.
Now she's wrapped up in the whole thing, and they travel from place to place as people do in these cartoons, learning lessons along the way and slightly evolving their characters.
With the NSA never too far behind.
Yeah. Although they're not even in one of these episodes, are they really?
No. They do. I think they weren't in one of the last episodes.
Yeah, I think it's kind of either end.
What was the last two?
So the last 2, one was actually related to this next episode here.
Yes, the kid with the remote control.
Yeah, the kid with the remote control. And the second one was going to the robot museum.
Yes.
And Zeta just being a fucking dumbass and just not, which happens a lot. Seemingly, for someone, I say someone, for a robot that is designed for infiltration, he continues to be absolutely useless at it.
Yes, which does come up in this first episode.
Yes, it does.
Episode 5 is the Next Gen. It starts with like an explosion.
It's at the Sorbonne Institute, which I think is supposed to be the same place from episode 3, but I didn't remember the name of it.
And it's basically his kids done an experiment and made up. We find out it's the same kid from episode 3, Bucky Buchanan.
What's he called, really?
That is his name.
Is he actually?
Bucky Buchanan.
Wow.
I guess Bucky's a nickname on Buchanan.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But Bucky Buchanan.
Bucky Buchanan, right.
Basically, he in the last episode, he was a bit of a naughty kid who done his very smart, but did his own experiments.
Yeah.
It seems like it happened again, and he has his lab privileges revoked.
That's right. There's someone new in charge, and she's not taking his shit, basically.
He's basically restricted to his room.
I thought he seemed older in this episode, but I don't think he is. He looked taller to me. But who knows? I mean, it's not been that long, I don't think.
And she takes away his laptop and says, "No net surfing." To really date this show.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he lies on his bed and he's like, "Don't worry, I've got a backup," and gets his little VR headset out.
Yeah.
And
he's just like skipping through channels. It's like boring,
he's like,
boring.
"Get my favorites up," and I was like, "Where's this going?"
It almost reminded me of a second. Have you ever seen the Star Wars Holiday Special?
I actually have never seen the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But there is a bit where Chewie's grandfather puts on like a VR headset.
Oh, really?
And basically watches softcore porn for like 5 minutes.
Really? Okay.
And you're sitting there watching this.
Of Wookiees?
No, of humans.
Right.
And then they switches from softcore porn to
hardcore porn.
Jefferson Airplane or Jefferson Starship as they were at the time playing.
Which is also relevant because
and it's very strange.
It's a clip show effectively, isn't it?
Yeah.
But like as in not a clip show, it's just
like a special that
an anthology kind of thing.
Used to be quite a big thing. They're just special.
Yeah.
It's very bad, and that's often part of that people kind of point out as being particularly ridiculous.
Right, him with the VR.
Yeah, so that's why I thought this was going as well.
Right, okay, yeah. That's also, isn't there there's a Boba Fett cartoon in that, and he has the gun that Mandalorian has.
That's Boba Fett's first ever appearance in Star Wars.
Right, okay, yeah. Because the holiday special is after A New Hope, is it?
Yes.
In the kind of couple of years before.
I think it is. Well, they're trying to cash in on the super popularity of Star Wars.
Right.
And Mark Hamill's in it a bit, and he's got like so much makeup on. He looks weird because he was recently in like a car crash.
That's right, yeah. Which means they must have filmed it concurrently with.
I think it would have been after the first film came out.
Yeah, because the second
film
film
went and filmed it.
Oh no, because he gets hit by the Wampa or whatever at the start, doesn't he? And that's why they explain the scars.
Yeah.
In 2.
Okay, maybe it was.
No, so it would be just before.
Unless he had 2 different injuries.
No, I think it was the main. There was one big car crash, but anyway, back to this. He is going through his favorites, and one of his favorites is the NSA's website.
Yeah.
And it comes up locked, and he's like, "Hack this," and then it hacks it.
Yeah, he gets into the NSA very easily.
And then he sees what looks like a blueprint of some sort of new robot synthoid thing.
And he's like, oh, because he's already met Zeta, he was like, oh, that looks like fun.
Because his whole thing was he had a universal remote, didn't he? And he was trying to use it to use Zeta for his own purposes. Kind of insane purposes, because he was trying to kill people.
He was.
And they let him go at the end, smashed his thing and went, "Be good."
Yeah, and then let him carry on doing experiments as we find out.
And clearly he's made another one because he has a different version of it.
Yes. And then we get to Zeta and Ro, who are in another like internet cafe.
Yeah, they seem to frequent these internet cafes.
Yeah, and they're searching for where Selig, Zeta's creator, is.
Yeah.
Like, because they've kind of gone cold on the leads a bit.
Yes, that's right. And Zeta's plugged into the computer, because that's how he surfs the net or whatever they said. And then he starts kind of downloading something, and his camo starts flashing.
Yes.
He changes into this guy that we don't know. And then Ro's kind of hiding him under like a coat or something.
But like everyone there has kind of spotted that he's weird.
Yeah, but they're kind of underreacting, to be honest, aren't they?
Yeah. But whilst he's doing that, he's intercepted some orders for them to make another infiltration unit that is bigger and better than before.
I think the orders are going to it, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's being sent on a mission, and he's, like you say, intercepted it.
He's going to be sent to kill, and Zeta's like, we can't allow this to happen.
Yeah, and it's Unit 7, so I assume he's Unit 6. We don't really know that, but I think it's called Unit 7, and it's being sent to kill an arms dealer called Roman De Flores.
Yep, who's known as the Merchant of Death.
Yes, very good.
And Rose kind of like, he doesn't sound like he deserves to be safe. Why are we putting our neck out to save this arms dealer? which is a fair point.
It is, but he's like, he's a human. He deserves life.
Yeah, and he's like, the government are still wrong sending out hits on people using robots.
Yeah.
Like, they shouldn't be doing that, whether he deserves it or not.
Yeah, and he's hiding out somewhere called San Pelago, which may be a Caribbean, maybe a Cuban island. We don't really know. And
I think it said on the description it's in the Caribbean.
Did it? Yeah, it was a tropical island.
Yeah.
Zeta's like, he wants to stop him, and they go to the airport and they're queuing up for their flight.
And Zeta, he's going to Jamaica. Zeta changes into like a slightly cooler outfit.
Yeah, it kind of looks like almost like a unpatterned like Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, with his collar pointed up. And
and she's
looks
like,
very bad.
I think so. He's queuing up for the air to get on the to book the ticket or whatever, collect the ticket. And she's like, you need to take that coat off. We're going on holiday. And then he's like, is this better? Will we get in trouble? And she's like, only from the fashion police.
Yeah.
Very bad joke.
Yes, they go to buy tickets. But suddenly the tickets are sold out on the plane.
Yeah, I think they had a booking and that was disappeared.
Yeah.
And we don't really know what's going on. But
and then the system goes down and everyone's like, oh, come on, mate, hurry up. And it's like,
suddenly there's just a massive group of people.
And they're all having a go at like Zeta and Ro.
They're like, hurry up.
It's like when I told you when I got the bus a couple of months ago, and the machine wasn't working. There was these two old guys like shouting abuse at me. And I was like,
they were already on the bus.
Yeah, and I was like, it's not my fault. The machine's not working. This very much reminded me of that. I felt for them.
Oh dear.
And
they
then
look over and it's Bucky, isn't it?
Bucky's there with his remote control.
Yeah, I think it's a different design, but it's the same thing.
And he's one that's fucking with the airline company.
Yeah.
And basically
he wants the new model, basically.
Yeah, he's in this advanced infiltration unit, and the airline won't let him travel without an adult. Which
right, okay, I missed that.
I don't think is a rule. I think it happens in films.
I
like
think
Home
they're supposed
Alone.
to have a adult's consent or whatever.
Yeah, and he doesn't have that because I think he's tried to kill all the adults that he knows.
Yeah, we don't know if he's an orphan as well as Ro, but it seems that maybe he is.
Yeah, we thought maybe there was like a mentor to him in the previous episode, but he tried to kill him.
Yeah, he very much tried to kill him. Yeah.
Basically, he says, "I will get the tickets for you.
Yeah.
If you bring me on the plane."
Yeah, he's basically like, I won't unfreeze the system.
I don't know where he wants to go. He just wants to get on the plane.
No, he wants to go with them to get the new model.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah. So he wants to come with them to San Pelago. And then they get on the plane and they fly. They get off at the dock.
And Ro takes the remote control off Bucky.
Yeah. And then Zeta uses like a glue gun and sticks into the dock.
And I was like, that's so responsible. It's just like some kid who's now stuck.
And he's literally just stepped off the plane. So surely someone would notice immediately, but they didn't seem to.
Yeah. So
and this is when Zeta is fucking awful at his job. He goes, we need to find De Flores, and just runs up to this guy on the dock and goes, hey, where can we find Roman De Flores? And the guy freaks out and runs away.
Like, great infiltration skills there, Zeta.
He tells the other bad guys, doesn't he?
A bunch of henchmen
and they're like, get him! And then they all start trying to fight him.
And like
this is where there's like a whole fight.
They have a fight, and Zeta is like taking it quite easily, but also Ro takes a couple of them out, and I was like,
she does a lot of shin kicks. There's one guy that she just keeps kicking in the shin, and he's like hopping, and then I think she kicks the other shin. And he's like, oh,
and she throws a bunch of oranges.
She throws fruit in one guy's eye, and then he walks backwards like and he keeps walking, and he keeps walking like the whole length of the thing and falls off. It's quite.
They're like the plane's like it's like a water boat. It's like landed on a pier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he's like falling off the pier.
And then like a load of them are coming to get Ro, and then he like lasers like a net that's holding some crates, and then it falls on them.
Yeah, and there's loads of bananas covering them. And Bucky comes over. He's like cut his feet off. He's still got like wooden panels on his feet. He's like broken free. And he's like, I know where De Flores is.
He's a little bitch, isn't he? But,
Yeah.
I mean, he's better in this episode, I think, but he's still like.
I think they are making him a nicer character for a reason.
Yes.
But he's like, oh, I want my controller back. And they're like, oh, maybe, but tell us where DeFlores is.
Yeah.
And then they're like in the woods, like scoping out this space.
Yeah.
And there's loads of defenses there, like guns, and there's like a shield,
like a laser gate, and there's like they'd say a perimeter shield. So he throws something and it Zeta throws something and it doesn't. Yeah. And they say there's bomb sniffing drones as well. So he's got like a real compound, basically, this guy.
Meanwhile, somebody's spoken to DeFlores to warn him that these people were looking for him.
It's one of the guys that they fought on the.
I think it's the first guy that ran away.
The first guy, the little weedy
And whilst he's on the phone to Flores, the infiltration unit breaks out its crate.
Yeah, so it's been sent there in a crate, which doesn't seem the easiest way of transporting it.
Also, not great infiltration.
Not at all. Also, this infiltration unit is way bigger. It looks like a buff shark. It's like massive. It's got like a kind of weird neck.
It's literally like twice the height of Zeta, and Zeta is like 7 foot tall.
Right. So the difference with Zeta, we haven't mentioned it yet, really, but he's got hollow camouflage. We mentioned it at the start, and it's supposed to be a hologram that goes over his kind of skeletal body. Which doesn't really 100% work because sometimes he changes height and stuff.
I think it's a hologram projection rather than covering him.
Yeah, but
because we see it in the next episode, something suggesting that.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So, but it covers his form underneath.
Yeah,
but I think he can become a child still. So maybe his body contorts.
I think he'll have that cloaking technique that we talked about last week.
Yes, the one with the little lenses lined up.
yes.
But the thing about this robot is that we see later it can cloak, despite the fact that it's about 8 feet tall. So that doesn't really, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, it basically grabs that guy who was on the phone, and it's like, yo, tell me where DeFlores is.
Then we go back to him scoping out, and Bucky's just like chatting shit about Zeta, being like, oh, you're meant to be an infiltration unit. This isn't very good infiltration.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I'm glad somebody said it. But also, he said it at the one point where Zeta's actually doing good, like, espionage.
Yes.
Like, scoping it out.
That's true, it's true.
Like, this is the one time Zeta is good at his job, and Bucky's like, oh.
And he's like, oh, God, I would have done this a lot quicker. I mean, to be fair, he seems pretty good at what he does as well.
Yeah, he probably could shut down the whole base.
Really, he should be there like man in the van, and he should do the hacking for them.
Yeah.
And then Zeta, who can also hack, but whatever, should be the going in. And Rose shouldn't be part of it at all.
Yeah. She should go around looking for her parents.
Yes. Or maybe they're dead? No, they left her. Is that the point?
And whilst that's scoping out, DeFlores' daughter, Dominique, is like coming out, and she like flirts with this guard and like kisses him.
It's not what I expected from this program. She's kind of like cozying up to him. She gives him like a kiss on the cheek.
And he opens this electric gate for her. She's like, oh, I'll be back.
Yeah. I also don't know how old she's supposed to be. I guess like a 18, 20-year-old.
Yeah, the fact that these guards are kind of creeping up around her.
Yeah.
But she like
and one of them's there. The one who got kissed is like, oh.
Yeah. She goes off like into the woods, and Zeta immediately changes it into her.
Yes.
It's quite smart. And goes back in, and they let him in.
He kisses the other guard instead.
And the first guard's like, oh, what are you doing? And kind of chases after her, like, Dominique.
And then as soon as he just round the corner, he changes into a different guard, doesn't he? And then the guard kind of goes past him. And then
he turns into like his normal
he gets
form.
He gets into the building, and he's just like, I'm safe now. Changes, and with his coat on as well. He loses his cool shirt.
You can look however you want. He could probably like turn into like a wardrobe.
Well, we see in the next episode he can change into non-humans, but only partially.
But like, he should.
I think he can change into whatever he wants. Yeah.
And he chose. It's not like this is his default, because he chose this look at the start of episode 1.
Yeah.
So it's really bizarre. I know it's because we've got a character to recognize.
Yes,
but in the universe, it doesn't make much sense. But basically, he walks up to DeFlores.
He's like, "Hey," and then DeFlores immediately shoots him with like a rope gun.
Yeah, and it like ties him up against the wall.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh no, there's danger. There's this infiltration unit that's going to come kill you. And then he turns back into like his robot form.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I've heard lots of funny stories from dying men, and he's like, changes back, and he's like, it's not a story.
Yes. And then the other infiltration unit
turns up as a
appears.
henchman, as the one that he interrogates, I think it is.
Yeah.
And then he shoots like gas grenades at one guy. What?
I've written gets hot.
Gets shot.
Yeah. Yeah. He
turns into a really hot person.
Turns into Dominique. But yeah, instead of just like gunning them all down, he shoots like gas.
Well, this is the thing. So I've written this. He does that, but then later on, he's just shooting normal grenades and blowing everything up.
Yeah.
So maybe, despite being a lethal infiltration unit, he only wants to kill the person he's sent to kill, which I guess is kind of nice.
Yeah, he is a government thing, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But he shoots some more.
I think
gas.
he gets seen. So he gasses the first guard, changed into him, and then walks in. But he doesn't hide the unconscious body. So someone gets confused.
Yeah,
sees both. They all start shooting at him, and then he goes gas grenade crazy and starts shooting gas grenades everywhere.
And then DeFlores sees this on the security camera.
Yeah, and he's like, Zeta's like, I'm going to help you. And then we don't see the plan that's happening.
Yeah, Zeta's turned into DeFlores.
We don't see that immediately.
We do see that now.
No, we don't, because he's like, do we see it?
Yeah. They're in the room together, and DeFlores is like, okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that, because I thought it actually would have been better if you didn't see it, which is the way I did.
And then he runs out on the infiltration, sees,
and he's like shooting
Zeta, as I've written.
Zeta. He's just shooting loads of explosives, and it's blowing up the whole mansion.
Yeah. And he, as Zeta reaches like the wall, he shoots
I get
the
it
wall.
now. I wasn't really. Yeah.
I had to kind of clarify for myself.
Yeah.
The wall kind of collapses on him, and he's stuck under the wall.
Yeah, it's in like the courtard bit in the compound, isn't it?
The infiltration unit's like, target acquired.
Yes, I've written that down as well. That must have been a good line.
Yeah, clearly. And he's basically like, he gets a big saw hand out that we've seen Zeta do.
Yeah.
And starts cutting like into his chest.
Yeah, he cuts his chest, and then he manages to kind of divert it to hit the rubble or something.
Zeta turns back into a robot.
Yes.
And kind of confuses the infiltration unit.
Right. Because he's half trapped under a brick, isn't he? Like a big
and whilst
rubble.
he's confused, he like throws the IU away.
Right, okay, yeah.
And
he
disables him.
It hits like a lamppost that I think had been hit by grenades, so he gets like electrocuted by like a light post thing.
And then
we think he's like dead.
Yeah, and Zeta fixes the scratch.
He's got his cool little lasers that come out, which we like from the first episode.
And DeFlores is like, I'm very impressed.
He's like, how much to buy one of you?
Yeah, and Zeta's like, I'm not for sale. And he's like, DeFlores, you have to turn yourself in because they're going to keep coming for you.
And he's like, it's all part of the business. I'm not that fussed, basically.
And then Bucky, being Bucky, grabs the remote control out of Rose's bag.
Yeah.
And he's like, I could use this infiltration unit, and takes control of it.
He says something like, I could get some respect that I finally deserve. But it's like, you're kind of like a terrorist.
Yeah.
He's definitely a bad guy, right?
Yes. And in trying to control the infiltration unit, all he's done is turned it on.
Yeah, he just wakes it back up, and then it just looks at DeFlores. It kind of starts scanning everyone, and then finds DeFlores again.
Yeah.
And it shoots these weird kind of frisbee things, which I think it was shooting at Z as well. They're kind of like disc shooters. Kind of like lasers, but just like, yeah.
And Zeta's like blocking them with a bit of wall.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And they say it's got an override program, which makes sense because Zeta was very easy to control. Yeah. So it's a good thing that this one isn't.
So DeFlores starts to like run for his boat.
Yes. Yeah.
With the infiltration unit chasing. It's not quite clear how far away from the harbour they are.
No.
Because there was woods.
I think it's probably a different harbour, like a private one, but it looks pretty much just. But yeah, he runs over to the dock, and he's like about to get to like his yacht kind of thing, and then it just explodes. And I thought he was dead at this point because it's a big explosion. He's not. And yeah, Bucky is like, I'm gonna help.
And Zeta's jumped on the infiltration unit, and you see the size difference.
Right.
He's like a little kid on his back.
Yeah, so Zeta's probably like 6 foot tall, isn't he?
I think he's like 7 foot.
Is he? Okay.
Like in robot form.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 7 foot.
So I think the infiltration must be like 10 foot.
10 foot. Yeah. It looks a bit like a king shark kind of thing, you know, from like a Hulk kind of size, but
he's
with
so much wider than
because Zeta
as well.
is, which makes sense. Infiltration. This thing is like a war robot, isn't it? Whereas Zeta is like a stealth thing.
He very much looks like stuff we've seen in various like sci-fis and stuff.
The head was the thing that reminded. I mean, the color scheme is like a shark color, but it's got kind of like a point, not pointed, but like an animal kind of face, like a snout. Almost.
You know, the more advanced droids in the Star Wars prequels, not the Roger ones, the taller black ones.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like one of them.
Yeah, I mean, the comparison between the original battle droids and that is kind of like the same between these two. Yeah, I can see that.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he's like that. I think they might have been called super battle droids at one point.
Super battle droids, that's it.
Yeah,
or super battle droids, the one that spin.
I think they're Droideka.
Droidekas, he looks like a super battle droid.
Yeah, but like if a super battle droid skin was on a Hulk.
Yes, and if it had like a huge underbite,
like a shark kind of thing,
yeah.
All those things together, or maybe like a rhino head almost without the horn. But
Bucky has taken control of like a crane,
like a cargo thing, and it's grabbed onto Number 7's foot and he's swinging it around just kind of aimlessly. He doesn't really know
and
what
then
to do
like
next.
his leg comes loose.
Yeah, I think it cuts its own foot off.
I just thought the screws came loose. He was spinning around loads.
It is. Its saw goes on, but I didn't really see it happen because I was making notes. A lot of this, I felt like I missed bits because I was writing down what happened. I don't know if you felt the same.
Well, the second episode, I was writing stuff down and eating my dinner, so I must admit.
Yes, I try not to eat while. But
I watched it. Literally when I finished
That's
today.
True. Yeah, you were. I also thought these episodes were 10 minutes last night when we were talking about it.
When you said that, I was like, I'm pretty sure they're not.
Yes,
but they are 18.
I was hoping they would. Yeah.
Basically, his legs falling off, and then he starts hopping after DeFlores.
That's right. Yeah, he's very. It's kind of. It's not in the same way that the Terminator is just not giving up, but it's like a comical version of that.
Yeah. And Bucky then takes control of like what they called.
It's like a forklift
thing. Yeah. And basically
like a hover one.
Picks up the infiltration unit with it and drives it into the warehouse. Yes. And the warehouse blows up.
Yeah, DeFlores is like, my stockpile. And it's like loads of crates. And then just the biggest explosion we've seen.
Yeah. He's like, oh, my life is over. These weapons have already been paid for. And Zeta's like, sounds like a good excuse to turn yourself in. And
then we assume that he did because we never see what happens after that.
No. And Zeta thanks Bucky for his help.
Yeah, Bucky's like, oh no, I messed up. Like, why did he mess up again? Because he revived it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like...
and he like offers to help them.
Yeah, he's like, if you need me again, I'll be ready. And I'm like, you're definitely going to be back in 2 episodes time.
Yes. And then we think the episode's over, but then we see the rubble of the warehouse. It moves a bit and the infiltration unit has woken up.
That's right.
And
it says like data corrupted.
Yeah, and it because it had captured DeFlores and DeFlores turned into Zeta.
Yes.
The corruption data, he thinks his target is now Zeta.
Yes.
Which is very convenient.
Yes, but also I think is one of the better things that they've done with this series because I don't really like Agent Beckett or whatever it is that chases him around.
Yeah, the NSA are a bit boring.
They're boring, exactly. And hence the next episode I found quite boring. This one, they were doing something interesting. And if they've got this persistent other threat, I quite like that. I think it's I think it's the best thing they've probably done with the
okay. So that's the end of the episode. My copy of the episode cut out their little joke.
I didn't have it either. So I don't know if they just didn't do it. Because it went straight from that to the credits.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if they...
Oh, that's a shame.
I think they had almost the 7 is alive bit as the post-credits.
Right, okay.
Or the pre-credits.
7's alive.
That sounds like a like an old expression, doesn't it?
So before we go into the next episode, what did you think of this episode?
Yeah, I think it was on the better end of the episode. I didn't.
Yeah.
I think the pacing and the characters, yeah, they weren't much better than normal. But I think the story itself, the way it ended,
the infiltration unit was quite fun.
Yeah, it was quite cool, and I would put it on the higher end. I don't know how we've rated these before.
Nope, no idea.
I think we do per episode.
We do. I can't remember what the ratings are.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give this a 6.
Yeah, I was going to go with 6.
Like, it's not great, but it's a bit over average, I'd say.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. Yeah, it wasn't amazing. I think what we on 7 and 8 next time, is that right?
Yeah,
cool.
Which we thought these episodes were going to start kicking into stuff a bit more last time. They didn't quite, but
I wonder how the next ones will be. But yeah, I mean, if purely based between this one and the next one that we're covering, I thought this one was pretty good. So I think 6 is all round.
Cool, perfect.
6, and no third 6. So on to episode 6.
Yeah, titled Westbound, which is kind of a double joke there.
Right. So you did understand why it's called that.
Yes, but the French title was Smells Like Roses.
Right.
Which is a better title.
It is better, yeah. I thought you were like, why is it called Westbound?
No, they're on a train that goes west and it features Agent West.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, I did get it.
Agent West played by
Michael Rosenbaum.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, part of the project. No, he's on the third tier.
Yeah, why is he? Or just because he's in multiple episodes?
No, I think he's in an episode of Jackie Chan Adventures.
That's right. Yeah, episode
I think like season 4 or something.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So it doesn't count, but it counts in a way.
Yeah, the same way as George Canton.
Yes.
Who was in Laramie Project and a different episode of Project Blue Book.
Yes, and Daredevil.
But it's not called Project Daredevil.
I wish.
We would. I think if it was called Project Daredevil, we'd just switch to a full-on watch that every week.
Yeah, I mean, that would only be 36 episodes, is that right? Plus Defenders, you could probably do as a spin-off.
No, I'll skip Defenders. Defenders are shit.
I was thinking recently, I've said for a couple of things like Jackie Chan Adventures, Frank Zagarino, we were saying, do spin-offs. Another one I was thinking which would be fantastic is the animated Spider-Man series.
I love the animated Spider-Man series.
Because they're like 20-minute episodes. Like that's a very real thing. I'm sure
love that
so many people have done it, but that's all you have to think of is a good pun-based name and we're set.
I still remember that one bit of Hydro Man. I remember when I watched it at uni.
What is he saying?
He's in a tree in Central Park and Hydro Man bursts out the fountain.
Yeah.
And he just goes to Spider-Man in the tree. He goes, "Kumbaya!"
There's some hilarious
that cracked me up so much the first time.
There's I can't remember exactly what he says, but I think it's when he's got the dark suit, the symbiote suit.
Yeah.
And he's chasing Shocker, and he's just like, he's raging, he's shouting, he's like, Shocker! And it's I've seen that on a couple of little compilations and stuff.
I've watched that series through twice as an adult.
Yeah,
I
think
very
same.
Good.
Yeah, but once before Disney Plus when we were both at uni, probably, and then once I think that was the first thing I watched through on Disney Plus.
I think same actually.
I was like, right, I've got Simpsons and Spider-Man animated.
Yeah. Also on Disney Plus, Christina's mum last week was watching through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I was like,
oh, amazing.
Oh man, I'm definitely
that was the other one I thought, oh, that'll be a good podcast. Like in like 10 years. Or 10 years since... Wait, when would 10 years since the start be? Like 2026 or something like that?
Not even that, I don't think.
Was it quite soon after... Oh, it was pre-Winter Soldier, wasn't it?
Well, yeah.
It would have been the same year
2014?
Yeah, so in 2 years' time, you could do a 10-year retrospective...
Of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., yeah.
But it would take you a hell of a long time to get through it because...
There's like 8 seasons?
Yeah, so if you were doing... Oh, no, it'd take you the same amount of time pretty much that it aired, bar any gaps, because you'd be doing weekly episodes.
Although... Yeah, they'd have they'd only be on TV for like half the years. You could probably do it in 4 years.
4 years of content. If anyone wants to take, I'm sure there's a lot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcasts.
Yeah.
But how many of them are hosted by two guys that are both, that are both white and love Marvel films?
I bet none.
No, probably none. I would say so too.
So yeah, back into a superior show in the Zeta Project.
Yes.
So it starts with a train going towards Perryville.
There's a podcast called That 90s Spider-Man Show. What I just searched, sorry to interrupt you, is and I'm saying this on pod so that, you know, if it's not picked, it can be something that we can do at some point, which we probably won't ever do. Spider Fans is not is not taken so far.
With good reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good.
Is it Spider Fans?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. It's anyway. Continue. Where were you? Oh, we're at the start of the episode, aren't we?
Yeah. Ro and Zeta are like changing their hair. Ro's like changing her hairs because she's having a bit of fun.
Yeah, I was wondering how she was doing it, but this is an example of how he can do the hologram over her.
But he like steps back and her hair's still different.
We also get that later because her hologram takes a moment to change.
What? It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make sense.
No.
Like, and he also makes a point at one point that he needs to be like holding her for the hologram to cover her.
Who knows? Who knows?
Not me. I don't know. I don't know, Sam.
I don't want to do this episode. Okay, let's keep going. So yeah, hollow hairdos. They're talking about fun.
Yeah, and Zeta's like, I don't relax, and he tries to fit in the hair, and he has like Krusty the Clown hair.
Yeah, is this when she first said, "Sometimes you just gotta smell the roses"?
Yes,
right. Which is the name of the French title.
French episode, yeah. But then basically the NSA arrive.
Yes,
at the hotel. They've located them, and they're going down the corridor, and then Agent West, the lovable Agent West, decides this is a great time to steal some shampoo.
Yeah, he just starts pocketing shampoo, and then he like spooks a maid that's coming in.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Ah!"
And then the agents are like, "Shh!" And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
He keeps announcing that he's a secret agent in this. Isn't he?
And
he's
then like James Bond
hears him. Yeah,
yeah, he hears, and he's like, "Okay," and. He does his stretchy arm thing, which is so inconsistent in this episode.
Yeah, because they use it at the end.
So we've seen his stretchy arms before, when he stretched the kid out to look at the heart.
Yes,
and they went like a good 20 feet, didn't they?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
In this, how far do they?
Let's keep that in mind.
Okay.
For this, he stretches all the way up to the window to like a blimp.
Yeah, that's passing by.
Which is what, good 40, 50 feet?
I don't remember, to be honest.
It's about that far. And basically, they are hiding on this. It's like a big billboard.
I thought this was kind of
They
funny,
disguise themselves into it. I was like, that's
because they all look out the window. There's a billboard, and there's like a beach thing, and there's a muscle guy, and he's holding like a beach ball.
It's kind of like those things you see on like the pier that has like holes in people's faces.
They're kind of doing that, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, the beach ball is Ro, she's camouflage, and the muscle man is Zeta.
Yeah.
And yeah, once they are safe, they change back, and she makes a comment about his like shorts or something, doesn't she?
Yeah, he's like landed the blimp on like a building, but as it's like then taken off again, it kind of scratches the top.
Yeah, I think he was controlling it with his fingers that he can stick and stuff.
He like attached it electrically.
And then once he stopped controlling it, it just kind of drifts off.
Yeah, but the NSA have noticed it have this like dodgy scratching.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's over there. So Zeta and Ro, like at the train station.
It's like the roof of the hover train station or whatever, isn't it?
And they jump on a train, and the NSA are following, and they don't know what platform they've gone to.
Yeah, so they all split up and go to the different like 5 platforms or whatever it
is. Agent West coincidentally happens to get on the same train as Zeta and Ro.
Yeah, he sees. I think he sees them jumping on, doesn't he? Or he sees them.
Yeah, he sees them at the station.
Yeah.
And he's got those like binocular type things that identify Zeta.
I think they call them like hollow scopes or hollow.
Yeah, something. I think that is it.
It's basically he can see through the hologram and see where Zeta is.
Yeah, as he gets on the train like leaves and he falls over and drops these holoscopes.
Yeah, it just goes under a chair and he's just like, "Oh no, I lost my things."
He doesn't even notice they're gone.
Oh no, he doesn't, because later on he tries to use them, but he's just holding nothing.
But he basically radios the NSA and is like, "They're on this train. I'm on this train."
Yeah, and he's like the guys. I think he's called Beckett. I think this.
Yeah, and he's like, "Should I press the emergency stop?" And Beckett's like, "Look out the window. How many NSA agents are there?"
There's such a long-winded way of saying it in like an emergency. He's like, "There's none there." Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
He's basically like, if you stop it, they'll escape. So stay on it. And he's like, "Which train are you on?" He's like, "I don't know."
Which is kind of fair. He just jumped on a train.
Yeah. He could have been like, "I was on the platform 5 one."
Yeah.
Go there. But he's useless, obviously. That's the
point.
But
they're like, "Okay, hold on, we'll come." And he's like, "No, I'm gonna get them myself."
He's like, "No,
and
don't
smashes his radio.
Does he?
I think so.
Maybe, yeah. He's not on it. They can't contact him anymore.
I think
so maybe he smashes it, which is very reckless, basically.
Yeah.
He's basically like, "Yeah, I'll get him." And then the other two are like just hanging around the train,
chilling.
It's quite a cool train. It's got like a glass roof,
and it's kind of like a hover train. It hovers above the tracks.
It's a bit like a kind of Orient Express kind of thing, isn't it? It's got like dining carts.
Yeah. And they're like looking out the window, and Rose's like, "Oh, even as a city girl, I can appreciate how nice this view is."
Yes. She says again about smelling the roses, and he's like, "I don't understand."
But then Zeta hears Agent West, because he's like going around like being like, "Are you a robot? Are you a robot?"
Yeah, because initially he tries to use his goggles that we said, and he literally just reaches where they would be, pulls them up to his face, and then goes, "Hang on," and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And then he instead realizes, because it's not a hard light hologram, it's just a visual hologram.
So he can poke it.
He can poke through it, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And he's just going around and poking people on the arm.
So Zeta,
and also saying, "I'm an agent, don't worry, I'm a secret federal agent."
Yeah. Zeta transformed into like an old man. And then as West kind of approaches them, he like glitches out and turns into Agent West by accident.
That's right, yeah.
And West spots them and they kind of have a little chase down the train.
Yeah, and I think they get ahead of him. Oh, they knock him over or something. I can't remember, but Zeta and...
Oh, no, that's it. He'd previously turned into like somebody else by accident. And I was like, I don't know what happened. And Rose like, "Sort yourself out."
Right.
And then he turns into West as well. And he's like, "Oh, shit."
Yeah, basically we see the train goes past something on the track and it does something to him.
Yeah, I think the way the train's going on these hover bits, it has like conductors every night.
Yeah.
Kind of like the trains in Black Panther.
Yeah.
They're kind of like that. But every time they go past one, it fucks up his hologram and he turns into the last person.
And
he saw.
They do say later it's like a transformer or something.
Yeah.
Not the Michael Bay type of transformer though.
So yeah. They hide they sit in some seats and turn into like a couple to try and disguise themselves again.
Yeah, and this is when he has no goggles. This part here. So initially he wasn't doing the poking thing. He was just
looking around,
checking with people.
Yeah. He was like, "Have you seen a like big robot?" It's a holo viewer. It's called
holo viewer, right?
Yeah, and this is where he's going around poking people. And at one point, and Zeta's like, "Oh no, we're gonna have to do something." And Rose's like, "Hold on." And he like pokes this girl, and he's sitting opposite this like huge guy, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And West is like, "I'm a federal agent." He's like, "I don't care."
He just starts like trying to fight him, doesn't he? And just before that, we have the smell the roses thing again, because when they sit down as the couple, there's like a little rose in a jar in a vase on the table.
Zeta tries to smell it, but it's like a plastic
But
rose.
he's like, "My olfactory senses are on the top of my head."
Yeah.
So he's holding the rose above his head instead to smell it.
And then whilst the guy has thrown West to the floor, Zeta's changed into the waiter that's serving them.
Yes.
And the waiter gets like freaked out and West spots the two waiters.
Yeah. So we go past another one of those things again that sets it off.
Yeah, and he runs after him, then runs into the real waiter and falls over.
Yeah.
Giving Ro and Zeta just enough time to
he
kind
gets
of get
like
out
hit
the
by
carriage.
the soup he's carrying or whatever, the drinks.
Yeah. And then we see the NSA have got their shitty plane thing.
Yeah, it's like that big ugly whale ship again, and they're all
Yeah.
getting on it at an airport because for some reason it has to be parked at an airport.
It kind of looks like in like Star Trek when they have the little ships that go out and do like reconnaissance. Like,
okay.
It kind of looks one of them, but like big.
I don't know what they look like.
Yeah. People who have seen Star Trek will know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Yeah, kind of squarish, kind of ugly. And they're all going through like, oh, we've got this and this.
They've
like,
got 14 minutes until they kind of engage with the catch up the train.
And they're listing the weapons they've got, and then the female agent is like, oh, will it be enough to stop Zeta? And then the other guy's like, I'm just wondering if I'm going to use them on West.
Yeah,
that little shit.
Very pissed off with West, which I thought may contribute to a plot point later in the season.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I feel like he's not going to be on the bad guy's side the whole time, is he?
No.
Clearly. I mean, we thought that from the first episode because
Yeah.
he's also the same age somehow as Ro, like a little bit older.
Yeah.
But I think he's probably like 16.
Yeah.
Which
it's weird that he's
again,
a federal agent.
this is why he's fucking up, because he give him like a gun.
So
this is when they find out that when he goes past the transformer on the track, he changes to the last person.
Yeah, they've hidden in like a bedroom compartment on like you get like the Orient Express type.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. He knocks on a couple and there's people there and they're like, hey. And then one guy's a bit sarky and West is like, did you see a robot who can change to different people? And he's like, it could be me. How the fuck am I supposed to know? And this bit's really funny. Do you remember what happens now?
So I'm just trying to catch up with my nose.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So West thinks he hears Zeta and Rose, so he goes into this room.
Yeah.
And this woman just screams whilst like holding a towel.
It's like an old woman naked with a towel. And we're like,
and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, and goes back out.
And Ro comes out of like
hiding.
Or she's in the towel. I don't think she's in the towel, is she? No. Because he changed into it accidentally. And she's like, where did you see that? And he's like, out the window, I guess. And then it just shows a shot of like a town that he's going past. And
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it shows a shot. So the idea is that he picked it up and he's like, I didn't mean to. It was by mistake. So he can just see into the houses, I guess.
That's creepy.
Which is kind of creepy.
But whilst having this conversation, West is still standing outside.
Yeah, so
he hears it all.
Yeah.
And he jumps in, but then like he has like pointing the gun at them, but then like trips and falls into like a fold-up bed that then springs up.
Yeah, and then they run out and like seal up the room.
Like weld it to the ceiling or something.
Oh yeah, it's in the bed. Yeah, that's right.
And then West starts shooting through the bed.
He starts shooting through the bed, and then they're in like the luggage cart.
Yeah, and the bed's fallen down, so West is back on the chase.
Which is also called the caboose.
Ooh, you like a good caboose, don't you, Sam?
I do. They're in the caboose.
And there's a dog in a cage that's like barking at them.
Right. Yeah. So they're hiding, and the dog's barking at them, and they're like, "Shut up, dog."
Yeah, and West is like, "Haha, too late." And he's basically captured them. They're on the floor with their hands up, and he's pointing the gun at them.
Yeah. And then they go past another transformer.
Yes.
And Zeta's head changes into the dog's head.
He doesn't turn into a dog, just his head.
I guess he can't. He can only change into humanoid things, maybe. Maybe.
But anyway, him having a dog's head scares the shit out of West.
Yeah, and he falls over and knocks himself out.
And they're like, oh,
and he must shoot the floor as well.
Yes, because the train's then like shaking.
Yeah.
And the connection in the last cart and the rest of the train is dodgy.
Yeah.
And they basically say it's going to make the train crash.
They're going to make the whole train crash, which I guess is if it's wobbling around, it starts waggling
if it
around.
Like falls off, it'll drag the whole thing with it, I guess.
And then this part here kind of moves. There's a lot of action, isn't there? Really?
Yeah, he basically says, I need to unhitch this cart to save the train.
Yeah.
And he grabs West as well and takes West and Road.
And while he's carrying him to the next bit, he keeps changing to different people, and West wakes up and then goes, oh, and passes out again.
Yeah. And Zeta's like, I'm going to get on the top of the train so I can get into the electrics and disconnect the train. I'll meet you at the station.
Yeah.
And Ro's like, where at the station?
Yeah. I think I looked away for part of this bit because The next bit I've got is noticing that the dog's still there.
Yeah, so Zeta gets them to the top, but then there's the classic, there's a tunnel, so he has to like duck out the way.
Yeah. Oh, he's trying to undo the connection or whatever, isn't he?
And then Rose spots that the dog is still in the back
and
car.
now it's like barking in a scared way.
And she's like, oh no, I'm gonna have to go save him.
She keeps calling it Fido the whole time.
And she's like, oh, I hope Zeta takes his time.
Yeah.
Zeta then pulls like a wire and it starts to disconnect.
Yes. And then he sees that she's still in it.
Rose grabbed the dog and the dog's jumped onto the safe car.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh no. So then Zeta reaches out to grab her with his super stretchy arms that earlier in the episode went 50 feet and he's standing about 8 foot away from her.
And he's really
struggling. And he can't reach.
Right.
He can't reach her.
He can't reach her, yes.
And she's like, come closer. And he's like, grab on. I was like, what?
Right, I see. I didn't really notice that.
And then the next bit as well, he's like, oh, I can't. So he grabs the car.
Yeah.
And it's like she's standing on like the balcony bit. Yeah. And he reaches past her to grab the car. Yeah. Because then she jumps up above her and grabs his arms.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense, right?
No, she jumps across the gap that he's closed by, but still, the distance doesn't make sense. She jumps back into the other train.
Jumped above her and grabbed his arms, whereas before
I think she just jumps across.
No, she jumps up like that.
Oh well,
very very silly.
Very silly.
And basically swings to safety, and Z let goes of the back car. It kind of wobbles and then it falls off.
Yeah, and just as we see it kind of crashing off into the distance, out of like the smoke and explosion, the bad guy's big square ship turns up.
Yeah.
And the guy who I think is called Beckett, like zip lines down with another agent.
Zeta's still on the top of the train.
He lands having like a train roof showdown.
Yeah, but then another agent appears. Further one from Z, so he's a bit surrounded.
Yeah.
And they drop a net.
It's like a static net or something. So they're like, stop, we've got you. And as it's falling, he sees another train is passing in the same direction, jumps off onto the next one. I thought that was pretty cool. He jumped from one to the other. It's quite cool.
It's like something Tom Cruise would do in Mission Impossible.
Yeah. And then we're at the station and Ro is with the unconscious West, isn't he? And he's dreaming about being the director of the NSA or something.
And she quickly gets away before he wakes up. The NSA are like searching around the station. They find West and he's like, did I get them?
Yeah.
And they're like, no. And he's like, oh, how was I saved?
Yeah, he's like, I was on the luggage cart and then I was here. And then the lady agent with him is like, well, we don't know. And then they both have a moment wondering, but we don't see them realize.
I think it's kind of them beginning to realize that Zeta's not bad.
Those two are the kind of good agents,
the sympathetic ones, yeah.
And
so Rose searches around at the station. She's like, oh, she didn't tell me where to meet. And then she sees like an old man smelling some roses.
No, she sees the botanical gardens in the distance.
Oh, okay.
Like the sign that says botanical gardens. She's like, aha. Which is like very, I mean, good for her. She's figured out the puzzle. But yeah, she goes there. There's an old man smelling the roses, but he's smelling it with the top of his head, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Rose spots him and go over and one of them's like, oh, I guess we're starting to think alike.
Yes.
Because they both need to go.
I think he says it and she's like, that's not good.
Yeah. And Zeta's like, we should stop to enjoy things every now and then. And I'm like, you are constantly being chased by the government. I don't know how much time you get to enjoy things.
Yeah, I think he probably had the right idea the first time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the end of episode 6. But I did see the joke this time.
Well, joke is one way of putting it.
We have a picture of like an envelope.
Yes.
And Zeta's like, in the olden days, this is how people would send emails to each other.
Yeah.
Somebody would go door to door giving these to people.
Them, yeah.
And Rogue is classically like, ha ha ha, as if nobody
like,
would do
what
it
is
like
it
that.
Really? And she's like, what?
Yeah.
And then we get the credits.
And that is episode 6 of the Zeta Project.
Episode 6, absolutely. And what did you think of it?
I thought it was fine. I preferred the previous episode, I think.
Yeah, I mean, thinking back on it now, I mean, some of the actiony parts, you know, the train roof at the end, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff was was better than stuff we've seen in previous episodes. I think it was probably like if we did 0.5s, I would do this a 0.5 lower.
Right.
Than the last one. I think compared to the original Bucky episode and the museum, the robot museum, this was definitely better, I would say.
Yeah, that being on a train is always quite fun. It was they do all the typical stuff you do on a train.
I think one of the first good kind of better Agents of Shield episodes is all set on a train.
Yeah.
Remember people are getting like not knocked out, but it's like they're frozen with like tech things, and like Agent May, you see like the different timelines of people. It's very early on. It's when they were still, that businessman was still the bad guy, and Daisy was still Sky, and I think it's the first time that we see that guy Deathlock or whatever, maybe.
Oh yeah,
season 1 anyway. But yeah, train episodes are normally pretty good.
Yeah. And you always have at some point them running along the top.
Yes. Not in Orient Express though. But I guess it's more of a realistic thing.
Weirdly, as we were wrapping that up, I opened my IMDb up, ready for Personal Project. Yeah. And I got a notification saying, if you were interested in Death on the Nile, which we spoke about last week, so I must have looked it up. It says, check out the trailer for Death on the Nile.
Wow.
But yeah, just watched Death on the Nile, so now I want to watch the trailer for Death on the Nile. Of course,
just relive those good memories.
But yeah, I think because I did prefer this episode was fine. I think the good stuff was good. It still was lacking in certain areas.
Yeah.
I think on another day I might give it a 6, but I don't think it was as good as episode 5.
I would agree, yeah.
So I'm going to give it a 5.
I would absolutely agree. So 5 got 6 and 6 got 5.
Yeah.
Nice.
I wonder what 7 and 8 will get. Hopefully 7 and
8. Well, once we're past episode 10, we'll really be scuppered for that.
Yeah. Unless we break all ground and give it an 11 out of 10.
Well, 10 gets 11 and 11 gets 10. And then after 11, we'll start the new system.
No, because it'll be 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. We'll do 9 and 10 together.
Yes.
We'll do 11 and 12.
That's right, yeah. But 10 will, so 10 will, anyway.
10 will get a 9. But yeah, so that is the Zeta Project.
That's the Zeta Project's episode 5 and 6.
Yeah. In 10 episodes' time, hopefully we'll do episode 7 and 8.
I remember that. Now that we've said it, I wasn't going to say it on pod, but now I feel like
now we have to. Great. Those die-hard Zeta Project fans will be out there waiting. They'll count down the 10 weeks.
Yeah, people like these. That's the only reason we keep doing
it.
As you can tell,
I don't hate them.
From the start of this episode 6, where I audibly said, I don't want to do this episode. I mean, I stand by it. I didn't. The first one was much better.
So yeah, that is the Zeta Project, and now it is time for Personal Projects.
This time it's personal
projects.
So there is one big thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I think maybe do a couple before and get to that.
Yes. Yeah. So one thing.
How many things have you got before?
One.
Just one. Okay.
So we spoke about the Lighthouse and Death on the Nile last episode.
That's right.
One more that I watched recently that I was going to talk about.
Yes.
On Netflix, The Gentleman.
Oh yeah. The
Guy
Ritchie. Yeah.
Saw it last week. Hadn't seen it before.
How'd you not know?
It's great.
It's good, isn't it?
It's really, really fun.
It's good. Good cast.
Charlie Hunnam's great. Michael McConaughey's great. Colin Farrell's great. Hugh Grant's great.
Hugh Grant, very good.
It's got the woman from Downton Abbey as Matthew McConaughey's wife.
Right. Yes.
She's fun.
Yeah, it's good. Michael Gambon. No, not Michael Gambon. He's not in that, is he? That's Layer Cake, which is, as I said a couple episodes ago, kind of a similar plot overall. But
The Gentleman's. It's one of those films as well where you genuinely don't know what's going to happen next in the plot.
It's meandering's the wrong word, but it's whatever the good version of meandering is. It's almost Tarantino-esque in the way that it kind of
as you're watching, you're not sure where one act has ended and another one started.
Yeah.
So you don't know how much long's left, where the plot's going, and
there's some fake outs. There's a what you think is an assassination in a pub, which I think is the opening scene, or like the opening credits come after someone's shot, because there's blood going into the pint. Yes. And you're like, hang on, I thought they were one of the main characters.
Yeah.
And then
it's a fake out.
It's a fake out. I was trying not to spoil it, but I've just spoiled that by just saying that. But
but it is good fun, and I like the fact that a lot of it is like the unreliable narrator aspect as well.
Yeah, because it's lots of of it is Hugh Grant telling stories, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's even Hugh Grant goes to Guy Ritchie and tries to sell it as a film.
Right, yes, yeah.
I guess we then watch that film.
Yes, that's right, yeah. I like the Colin Farrell's group of like the guys who go to the gym.
Yeah.
They do like the fighting bit. That's quite cool.
Colin Farrell is really, really good in this.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's kind of more American in some, like, not, it's got more American influences than some of his other films.
Yeah.
Because of the whole Matthew McConaughey's there as this American guy and all that.
Yeah. It's clearly like a British film with like an American main character.
Yeah.
And the film kind of reflects that in that it's very British but has a clear American influence.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's one of Charlie Hunnam's better performances.
I would say
he often gets criticism for
he's Australian, isn't he?
No,
he's not Australian. No,
he's British. He grew up in Newcastle, but moved to America when he was a kid. So his natural accent is a bit all over the place,
right?
Which is why his accent often sounds weird in film.
Yeah, because he's in Sons of Anarchy, isn't he? Which I haven't seen, but
he's in Green
American
Street as well. Is the first thing where he plays like a Cockney.
Who am I? I think what I'm getting confused with is in Pacific Rim, the guy who looks exactly like him.
Yes,
who plays an Australian but isn't Australian.
He's also British.
Yeah.
Yes, because he was in Dream Team when I was younger.
that. Other than the accents, but from that Australian guy, the fake Australian guy, the fact that they cast Charlie Hunnam's rival to look almost exactly like him is by far one of the worst parts of that film, I would say.
I love Pacific
I think
Rim.
it's great, but that is the one thing that I would agree with in criticism.
I think it's because I recognise both of them from other stuff. It didn't really affect me too much that they look similar.
Yeah, I just think I just don't like it. I think if you're going to have people who are in close proximity and they're rivals or whatever, I think just do the obvious. Just cast different.
I often get that with like American TV shows that I'm not familiar with the cast where everyone looks the same and you're like, I've no idea.
It happens a lot, and I just think there's an easy way of doing that, especially when everyone's white in the thing. Just cast someone who's not white as one of these characters. Give someone an opportunity and make it like easier to. Yeah.
I had a conversation today.
Not that that's the only reason you should cast someone who's not white, obviously.
I had a conversation today where I think Pacific Rim is my favorite Guillermo del Toro film.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Nightmare Alley. I'm looking forward to watching that.
It is great. Although I spoke about that at work today, and somebody who shares a lot of film opinions with me says they really didn't like it. And I was like, no, it's good. But yeah, so The Gentleman was great fun.
Yes.
I think they're making a series.
Right,
sequel series. Yeah. Because it's kind of left open-ended enough that they could continue on the story.
Yeah, I can't remember. I remember. Oh, you know who else is in it? The guy who plays Dry Eye. He's good.
Yes.
The guy who's now also, funnily enough, Snake Eyes in the unsuccessful Snake Eyes film. He's also in Last Christmas, and he is called
Hugo Weaving.
He is called Henry Golding.
That's it.
I like him. He's good. Very good.
Yeah, The Gentleman. I think it came out like 3 years ago.
Yeah, it went on Prime quite early on. I watched it shortly
on
after
Netflix
it came out.
now.
Yeah, they must have had a limited thing, but he also Guy Ritchie released Wrath of Man not that long after, which is on Prime.
Okay.
Which is a Jason Statham film. It goes the opposite way with the American stuff. It's all set in America, in like LA. It feels very American, apart from the fact that Jason Statham's the lead, but he's in America. And it's an interesting, but it's not got any of the fun of this film at all.
King Arthur, didn't he?
Which has Charlie Hunnam. Yeah, so I think I said to you a couple of months ago, I caught a bit of it on TV. And it was surprisingly interesting. Like I was
surprisingly interesting.
Well, I'd heard quite bad things. For one, David Beckham makes a cameo as like an executioner.
Is Jamie Foxx in it?
I think he's Merlin, but it's very like I'm a guy. Oh no, Little John.
Yeah,
the guy who You know who might be Merlin? It might be the guy who is in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I might be getting confused with Shazam.
Speaking of Merlin, the guy who plays Merlin in the BBC series.
Yes, very familiar. Colin something he's called.
He turned up in something I was watching fairly recently, and I was like, "Holy shit, he looks so different."
It is him. Oh no, Jimon Honsu is not Merlin.
He's in
Sir Bedivere.
He's in Belfast as
I thought, Belfast. What do you think of Belfast?
I thought it was good.
I thought it was good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
But he's in Belfast,
and he's like a proper bad guy.
It's like he's like gonna shoot a kid in the head at the end and gets like arrested.
Yeah,
and I was like, I think partly what they've done is put his head cover his ears.
Right, okay.
Because he does have big ears that make him look a bit silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really surprised to see him in that. What have you been watching, reading, playing, seeing, looking, jumping, doing?
I'm looking at the cast list for there's no one called Merlin on here, so I don't know who. Oh, Aidan Gillen's in it. Interesting.
Oh, part of the Project alumni.
So I'm assuming this is Maid Marian, but they've called her Maid Maggie. Anyway, I've actually been reading the Jason Aaron run of Avengers, which started in 2018.
Ah, yes. Is it good?
It's good. Yeah, it's. I've heard
how
mixed
influenced
things.
is it by the MCU?
Some of the designs, I would say so, of characters.
Yeah,
it has a lot of Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider.
Oh, nice.
From Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you recognize him from. And he joins the Avengers in the first kind of volume. But he's like the youngest by far, so it's a bit of a...
Yeah.
But the first one is... I don't know if it's the first time we saw the Avengers 1 million BC or whatever. We might have talked about it before with like Mammoth Ghost Rider and stuff. It opens with that and them fighting or kind of coming into conflict with a load of Celestials, similar to the end of Eternals. Yeah. And effectively, they did something 1 million BC or 1 million years ago, whatever it is. And that kind of comes back to bite the current Avengers. And it's interesting, like it kind of rewrites certain aspects of the history, the reason that there's superpowered beings on Earth more than other places, that sort of thing.
Right, okay.
But the main reason I read it is because later in this series, because he did something like 50 something issues of this, of like a solid run, which is, it's nice to have like a consistent writer for that many issues. Towards the end, you get something called the Age of Khonshu, which you can kind of imagine potentially where it's going.
I've heard about the Age of Khonshu.
And I think it's something that people really didn't like.
Yes.
Because
I have read what the Age of Khonshu consists
of. Oh yeah, no,
actually.
I mean I know that. So some of the Moon Knight that I've read is the aftermath of that, where Khonshu isn't accessible anymore to Moonlight because he tried to take over the world.
Yeah,
and he uses Moon Knight as his fist, as he's supposed to be the fist of Khonshu, and I'm pretty sure Moon Knight just takes down all the Avengers one at a time.
Yeah, like Moon Knight goes from like a low level fighting people in the night villain to a hero to like a proper full on can go one-on-one with like Celestials.
I read one of the things that brought it to my attention, I read a series of panels which was him outside Kunlun meditating in the snow, and he's just got his mask, like the Mr. Knight headgear. He's topless and he's got arm wraps, so he looks very much like Iron Fist.
Yeah,
and he's meditating and trying to get the power of the moon or whatever, and then he just goes one-on-one with Iron Fist, and just using like boxing, just beats the shit out of him. Which is like, I think people are like, that's bad writing. Like, there's not. The way they do it is interesting because every time Iron Fist does a move, it's got like the name of it. And he's doing all these cool moves like Fist of the North Swan and stuff. Yeah. And then it just goes Fist of Khonshu and just a big fist. Just his normal fist.
It's kind of like, it is poor writing to simply show how powerful your character is by inexplicably beating up other characters. Yeah. Like Iron Fist is he's supposed to be one-on-one fighter, like kung fu fighter.
Apart from maybe like Shang-Chi, but it's like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's like the fact that Daredevil was in the series was visibly better a fighter than Iron Fist was like immediately
ridiculous.
A problem, wasn't it?
But in the comics, aside from like maybe Shang-Chi, and pretty much that. Nobody should be able to beat up Iron Fist one-on-one with just your hands.
And maybe it's explained more in context, but it was 5 or 10 panels in a row, which is potentially, a third of a comic book. And it's like, and another thing that's funny that I've seen people talk about recently is he goes one-on-one with Thor, and Mjolnir gets thrown at him, and very similar to the Hela catching it, he catches it and says,
I think I've seen that panel, actually.
Uru is moon rock, and so he has control over it, apparently.
Yeah.
But part of me wants to just get to that because it's interesting and it's silly, and it's I can get it from because the writer Jason Aaron also did a lot of the Mighty Thor stuff with Jane Foster Thor. So he did his work on Thor and then got promoted to Avengers.
Jason Aaron, was it?
Yeah, might have done some Star Wars.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because it's all Marvel, isn't it? So, or maybe you've got some Dark Horse stuff as well. Maybe.
He has done some Star Wars. He wrote part of the main Star Wars run.
Oh right, cool.
I think he wrote that entire actual first run of just Star Wars.
Cool. Yeah,
I don't recognise the name, so I've got maybe half of those.
Yeah, because the start of this is it's kind of not retconning, but it's bringing back the status quo after other people's work, and I think it's after Civil War 2. So Iron Man was in a coma at the end of that. He comes out of the coma. Thor's got a different hammer that's not Yarn. I think it's Yarnbomb, not anyway, whatever it is. Basically, the big three, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, come back together, reform the Avengers, Celestials, blah, blah, blah. And now it's moved on to vampires and Blades involved. So, cool. Fun stuff all
There
around.
Is that funny comic panel of Moon Knight, which I think is edited.
Yeah.
But you've seen all over the internet of the two ones of him turning up at Dracula's lair being like, Dracula, where's my fucking money? And holding the Avengers to ransom.
Yes.
Because he wants them to tell him where Dracula is. And he's like, what? Dracula's not on the Avengers?
I think that second one's probably from this, because if he's taking on...
Yeah, although I think they are edited panels.
Yes, they are.
They're getting the general gist of... And I think they suit the character from what
Totally. I mean, the only thing, I don't think he's that... Yeah. And there's another one, which is an old one, where he's throwing a load of stuff, and it's a mixture of his, like, sickle, what they called, like crescent darts or something, and there's like some scarabs and stuff, and it says like random bullshit go. It's very like Deadpool kind of stuff. Yeah, interesting. He's also I keep seeing this scene posted from, I think it's Ultimate Spider-Man, which was the animated series. So it was the first Disney one, I think, when Disney re-got some rights. So there was the 90s one we talked about. There was an early 2000s
Spectacular Spider-Man.
No, there's a CG one with what's he called? Neil Patrick Harris did the voice. That was only one season. Then Spectacular Spider-Man, which was pretty good. Very similar artwork to Jackie Chan Adventures, actually. It's that era.
Yeah.
Then Ultimate Spider-Man, which had a lot of pause and talk to the camera and little little chibi Spider-Man.
And the animation for that.
There's good stuff in what I've seen, but it's very, very like it talks down to you a lot.
Yeah.
They get other characters involved very quickly, like Captain America or Iron Man are in like the first 3 episodes, and then they've anyway, at some point Moon Knight's in an episode, but very much as like someone that Spider-Man can like make jokes about and catch him by his cape and throw him around and stuff. So
so speaking of Moon Knight,
yes, exactly.
At time of recording, 4 episodes are out. Yeah, we've both watched all 4.
Yes.
Thoughts? Last
we
time
spoke about episode 1, but we can do a general kind of.
We'll do it. How do you feel about the series so far?
First episode, I remember I was kind of unsure because, as I've spoken about today, kind of got into the Moon Knight stuff over the past couple of months. I wouldn't say disappointed. I kind of checked myself and thought, it's a different interpretation, but I wasn't 100% sure. Come much more into it since then. I think the performances, particular of Oscar Isaac mainly, Very, very good. The changes between the personalities, especially the episode you see him do the change on camera.
Yeah, it's very good.
The plots, it's kind of Indiana Jones. It's kind of National Treasure in ways. I'm enjoying it.
It's good fun. It's good, like you said, Indiana Jones, like silly Egyptian stuff.
Yeah, especially the last 2 episodes.
Although the end of the last episode was just like, oh, okay.
Well, the whole asylum thing, lots of people are like, oh, it's just like Legion, but actually there's a Jeff Lemire run of Moon Knight where it's all set in the asylum at first. And
someone at today was like, oh, have you seen Legion? So talking about Moon Knight.
And the psychologist is called Dr. Emmett, which is actually Armit in disguise. So they kind of done the same thing with whatever he's called, Arthur Harrow. Harrow. But I'm kind of happy that they didn't spend a whole episode there. I was kind of expecting him to have an episode where
I think maybe if it's only a 6 episodes, if it was like a 10 episode series, they could do a whole thing of him.
But they just dropped references immediately. I heard someone make a funny observation that if they were seriously trying to trick us into thinking that it wasn't real, they wouldn't have had all the Egyptian architecture everywhere, because if someone was suffering from delusions of being an Egyptian god, they wouldn't have had them there.
My take on it was that Harrow was intentionally putting Egyptian stuff there, so that Mark would think that's where his delusions came from.
Yeah. Although all the other bits were like direct things to his past.
Yeah, but like, he had Khonshu on his desk to make him think, oh, I just have this delusion of Khonshu because Khonshu's there.
You could do it both ways. And there were some good parallels, like, him falling out of the wheelchair was very similar to him coming out of the bed and stuff like that. And the third sarcophagus, we've spoken about the possibility of Jake Lockley. So,
I was a bit annoyed they didn't go and check it.
I mean, they've been stopped in their tracks by a hippo goddess, which was a lot of people referring to it as a twist, but I don't think any of that was really a twist. I think it was just an interesting direction. But
I was kind of taken aback when it turned up at the asylum. I was like, oh shit, where are we going with this?
Because we see him get shot. Yeah.
I liked the idea of it being Alexander the Great's tomb.
Yes, that's interesting.
And I was like, okay.
And we see, we thought for a second that Stephen Grant was a personality he'd got from a TV show. Yeah. But it seems that's not true. Or maybe there is some truth in that.
It might, again, be trying to add to the, this is where you got your delusion from.
And we hear a little bit about his origin, where he was killed trying to maybe protect these archaeologists, including Layla. Is Layla? Layla's father.
Yeah.
Maybe his partner killed him. Maybe Jake Lockley killed him. Because we also see one of his personalities is the third one potentially is murdering people when the other two aren't.
Aren't really with it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Part of me is quite glad it's a short series. So
it's just 2 left, isn't it?
Yeah, every scene essentially seems worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not dragged out at all.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going to go. I've heard that Oscar Isaac's only signed on for this, so I don't know really what the overall. I know in the kind of fan base, on Instagram and stuff, people are really enjoying it. But
I think it's similar on Reddit. People generally enjoy
I think critically, I think other, and viewers wise, I think other shows are kind of topping it at the moment. I don't think it's
in terms of Marvel Disney Plus shows. I think it's obviously better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, which was kind of just.
I still liked it. I think it's better than Loki. I think generally people like Loki more than I did. Yeah,
I think so. I think the thing that's taken a while to get going with this, and it's the same with Eternals, the same with Shang-Chi. It as much as they should be able to introduce new characters, it really helps if there are characters or things or situations that we already know involved to really tie it into the MCU. And they kind of did that weekly with the Netflix shows where they'd mention the incident and stuff like that. But I mean, just have, I know for this it works, like don't have anyone know him, but it would be great in a way if it ended with Doctor Strange shows up and goes, oh, let's go do something or whatever, like to show that there's some future for this character.
This could easily be entirely not in the MCU.
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't mind that. And if Oscar Isaacs doesn't want Isaacs, I used to think he was called Oscar Isaacs. if Oscar Isaac doesn't want to be part of stuff, fair enough. But I don't believe he would have signed on for this if there wasn't. I don't believe they would have signed him on if there wasn't some future there.
And I think Moon Knight is kind of like Moon Knight was always known, but was never one of the more popular Marvel characters.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah,
but I think this has really reinvigorated people's interest in Moon Knight.
I've got to say, I don't love the outfit still. And I was saying to you earlier, the black and white, more modern outfit I do prefer.
Yeah.
But I like how it makes sense for how it's a kind of magical relic thing. I kind of would prefer if they toned him down a bit and had him more of a street level guy. Like, because he's got healing at the moment, hasn't he? When he's got, well, he did anyway. But yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, we'll probably come back to it at some point.
Yeah,
maybe not next episode. We'll give it a break, and then I
think we'll do a wrap up at the end because we might record a couple in the meantime.
Yes. But for now, I believe that is the episode. Episode 39.
I do believe.
313s.
313s.
So if
triple unlucky for some.
Yeah, triple unlucky. Hopefully 13 and 39 are your lucky numbers. And if they are, give us a nice 5-star rating.
Yes, please.
If they're not, give us at least 4.5 star rating.
That would be fantastic.
So there's your options. If 13 is your lucky number, 5-star. If it's not, 4.5 star.
Yes.
And if you don't do 0.5, just round it. It's fine.
And you need to also tell everybody about this.
Yeah. You know, if you overhear anyone say the word project,
or 13 or 39,
just spark in your mind the project.
Yes.
I should tell them. They know the word project. They would love the podcast, the project with Sam and Lewis.
Yeah.
And if you want to tell us about how much you've enjoyed it and how you've got people into it, you can message us directly.
You can send us an email at theprojectpod@gmail.com, or you can find us on social medias in the link tree in the episode description, or by searching the Project on all socials. You can also send us a letter at the following address. No, don't worry, I'm not going to do that. It's going to give them your address, though.
Do you know my address off the top of your head?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I've had to ask for your flat number a couple of times when I've turned up. So, I don't remember, no.
But I know your address. Sam lives at 22B Baker Street.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's me. Sherlock Sam.
Sam Holmes.
That makes more sense, doesn't it?
S. Holmes. No, that's too obvious. Sam H. But no, that is the episode for the week. So it's thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you here. And me, Lewis, shall hear you next time around.
And I will see you in San Pelago on the sunny shores. You can hear me scrolling back there to try and find it.
Yeah, you should have stretched out your 50-foot arms.
Or are they 8-foot arms? Who knows?
Depends what you need them for. Bye.